Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 162 of LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watch the world trip for children only, the Digimon Train of Dreams.
Or Gaitherhunters Digimon Competition in the Southern Island!
He means and, not or. And we also watched Want Friends, Postmon, and The Devil's Promise. And on to Obnoxious Synopsis. The first episode that we're watching this week is called The World Trip for Children Only, the Digimon Train of Dreams. What do you think will happen in this episode?
So, obviously it sounds like the Digimon World Tour, but we've been over this apparently that it's not. And they've also just introduced literal Raildramons, or whatever they're called.
Trailmon?
I know what I said. And so, when you say the Train of Dreams, they think, oh, they're actually going to go on train that takes them to different places in the world, because I could imagine a situation where one writer goes, oh, you can just take a train to Hong Kong whenever you want. What if there was a Digimon that you have to chase around the world? And that could be something, but I bet it will just be them showing up in random places and seeing a token representative and then leaving.
So do you think it'll be a Trailmon?
Yes.
Okay.
Or some variety thereof. What's that one from the
Locomon.
Yeah, could be a Locomon.
I want you to remember the plot of that movie, by the way, when you watch this episode.
That there's an evil train?
I just want you to remember something about the plot.
Is it that the evil train is possessed by another Digimon?
I'm not going to tell you.
I don't remember.
Want you to remember that plot. Anyway, what will annoy you?
I guess if it's just the same movie as the Tamers one, but in an episode and bad. Also, not like the Tamers one was all that good.
Yeah, I think you said it was bad, but I think you liked it more than the other Tamers one from memory.
That was not. Oh yeah, well Hurricane Touchdown isn't Tamers.
The one where they're in Okinawa with the dead dog.
Oh, that was really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and the evil guy whose face just sort of changed. And it was
that Tamers?
Yeah, that was Tamers, the guy who was... They were in Okinawa, and the guy, The one that had the same plot as the My Hero Academia movie.
You mean every anime movie ever?
Yeah, surprise, you meet a girl, surprise, her dad's evil.
Yeah,
it's just the same plot as the My Hero movie.
Then you fight a big monster, and he gets real big, and he's super unbeatable. But good thing you got this new power that you only got in this movie, and oh no, when the movie ends, your new power's broken, so you can't bring it back to the show. And no one will ever talk about it again. At least
the My Hero movie explained why you couldn't use the power again after this movie.
I disagree.
They wrote it into the plot, it just can't be used anymore. It's broke. The device is broken, and there's no way of fixing it.
But the person who made it is still alive and can just make it again. It was such a random piece. She was willing to give it away to someone she had just met. That means that she can junk a new one together again.
I'm actually arguing for the Tamers movie being worse than this, which is a surprise. But what I'm saying is, in the Tamers movie, they just never had that special power ever again that they had in that movie. It never came that the thing where they all become this three...
The triad
the triad attack, and we never see it ever again. And there's no reason for why we haven't seen it again, or why we didn't see it prior. So, yeah. Anyway, do you think it'll be a good episode?
Absolutely not. I don't think any of these are.
Aw. And what rating?
2.
2? Did you say who or 2 or poo?
2.
Okay.
Poo is also a rating.
Poo is also a rating. Poo out of 10. Anyway, filler or not filler?
They're all filler until the last 6. I know that.
One of these actually isn't filler, one of these episodes this week.
I don't believe you. I don't believe there will be a plot, and it certainly won't be this one.
Okay. The second episode that we're talking about this week is called Gather Hunters Digimon Competition in the Southern Island. What do you think will happen in this episode?
Oh god, okay, well, if you're saying that one's not filler, thus far this one sounds like it might not be, in the sense that Gather Hunters implies that Hunters generally are going to get contacted by some sort of central authority that, actually tell them something about why they're doing something. But I would also be shocked if that was the case. I kind of expect they'll just be they'll get their cross-loaders will beep and it'll be like, oh, we have to go over there, there's Digimon there. And no one will tell them why. They just want to go because it's hunting.
Right.
You know how it'd be.
Yeah, I know how it'd be. What will annoy you in this episode?
What will annoy me in this episode is how little we get in the way of answers, for sure. Because, I want to know why the hunt gathers and what makes it important. But they're not going to tell me. I know they're not. Because the show bad.
The show bad.
And then the worst thing is they're going to tell us, and I'll be like, oh, okay. And then the very last thing in the entire series will be like, haha, the big bad guy made up the hunt to trick people into doing this incredibly convoluted thing, which was the real plan all along. and then he gets punched to
Right.
death in the next episode.
Right. And do you think it'll be a good episode? Having said all that,
No, I don't.
and what rating?
A 1.
Filler or not filler?
What's the name of the next one?
I can't tell you that until you've answered this question.
Well, I might have to roll this one back, but let's go with no.
Okay.
Ooh.
The third episode we're watching this week is called Want Friends? Philesmon, the Devil's Promise.
Wow, okay. We're right back into Filler Town of like, there's a kid in the school who's really lonely and bullied, but then he made a friend with a Digimon who is actually evil and abusing him to do evil stuff. I don't know or care. Because it's going to be a huge waste of time.
What will annoy you?
If it's a huge waste of time.
Aw. Isn't that
There.
most episodes?
Yes, like this entire season. Like Digimon from the ground up.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
Absolutely not.
What rating?
Half.
Filler or not filler?
It will be filler.
So which one's the not filler episode,
Well, it
or
has to be
marginally not filler
Has to be
episode?
that middle one because
Maybe.
it has to be because it's the only one that like has any sort of reference to there being like a broader thing where like hunters are like a concept rather than just like, oh, they're just dudes hanging out.
Right. And any other predictions before we get on to the show?
No, I got nothing because I honestly can't even necessarily remember the full names of these things. I don't have them in front of me.
And I think you don't remember much about what's happened so far because it's been
Well, there's nothing to
uneventful.
remember. Is the
That's
trick.
what I was about. Yeah, that was about to say. It's pretty uneventful of what happened. I think Shoutmon's in it.
Occasionally.
Occasionally, not as often as he should be.
Yeah, not as often as I'd like because
Don't
he's the
doubt
best
the
part
shout.
of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna doubt the hell out of him.
No, don't doubt the shout. Anyway, on to the show.
All right, off we go.
So episode 67 starts up with Taiguru reading, and he's reading up, and he's up late, and his mum's telling him to sleep, and then
He knows how to read?
Yeah, well, it seems to be some like Shonen Jump sort of esque manga or something.
But that implies he knows how to. Oh no, you could look at the pretty pictures.
They've got
Yeah.
pretty pictures. That's like me before I could read Japanese. I just look at the pretty pictures. It's like a question, like you know that age-old question: are you smarter than a fifth grader? What about the next version? Are you smarter than Taiguru?
Probably.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are.
Not that difficult.
No, he's not very smart. Anyway, so he has a ghost train, and then the next day there are kids in class, and he sees a classmate with photos from all over the world, and they all think that it's photoshopped and fake, and then Taiguru believes him because he's just a random friend who he's going to use in this episode again, which seems to be a recurring theme where Taiguru will use the friend of a random kid in class and just say, hey, we're friends, right? I don't know who you are. Yeah, we're friends. So he invites Taiguru to explore the world on this train with him, and Taiguru's really hyped. And it's just, I don't know, isn't it weird that they keep on introducing classmates that Taiguru uses for whatever is going on in the plot? Like the ramen shop kid, he was just a random guy that Taiguru says, hey, let's get some free food. Hey, Masaru. And in this episode, he wants to explore the world.
Well, in this case, at least, it was like directly linked to something. First, I mean, yeah, it's obviously hyper convenient, but the big deal is that at the end of the next episode, not only does this kid come back and is quote unquote relevant, then also
the
guy
Hideki,
from
with the dog
cash registers.
Yeah.
And then the dog died.
Yeah, when he didn't die, he just didn't do.
He
too
died.
Well. No, he didn't die. He just kind of got sucked into the crossloader, but he was a little bit sore. He wasn't super happy with what was happening, and yeah, so that's a thing. And then a small child, when Tiger is running home, is asking if the train that's passing by, because the train tracks, can fly like the one that he saw. And the mum's like, no. And the scene, for some reason, reminds me of the jellyfish scene in Diaboromon Strikes Back, because I love that scene. Shrug.
I don't remember it at all.
It's the one that I know off by heart with
the
jellyfish don't live in the ocean. All right. Jellyfish live on the computers and send emails. Even little babies know that. Babies.
I wish it would stop.
I wish I would never. Anyway,
I want to die.
Taiguru wonders if it's Trailmon, and I don't know, it's really nice that they actually reference, like, oh yes, he does know other Digimon, and it turns out it's Locomon. So Kiichi travels the world with Locomon, and Taiguru asks him when he hunted him, and it turns out that this kid's got a blue crossloader. So he was at the train museum, and he loves trains, and it's where he met Locomon, and Locomon's got like this such nice calming announcer voice, where it's just like, do you want to come on board? But like not in a creepy way, just like sort of like a
No,
really
it
calming
was
way.
just creepy enough because it was too friendly and it's Digimon.
Oh no, that's just his design, but he's just like by itself, like it's not terrible. Anyway, so it's actually cute and he's really happy, and Locomon, who can fly now, by the way. And then later on, Clockman gave the crossloader to the kid so they can go all over the world. And then we find out that Kichi's just been kidnapping these tiny, tiny, tiny children.
Well, it's not. It is kidnapping him if they wanted to.
Yeah,
the kid's piece of candy.
I don't know. It's just like Kichi doesn't seem like such a good guy.
Well, I mean, he doesn't know better. He's a weird train freak, and he gets a train. And also, here's the thing. Aren't people who love trains, isn't like half the fun that they get out of trains that like the tracks, like and the systems involved?
I think he just likes the idea of like the actual trains themselves, not so much the tracks.
You know, at some point that's just a bus.
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, he's just a shiny bus that can fly. That's cool. Anyway, so it reminds me of the Polar Express a little bit. Because I guess there's all these kids in the pajamas. Anyway,
I've never seen it.
It's a Christmas movie.
I got that part.
Yeah. And also, well, it's a book that then became a movie. I've read the book, but I don't think I've seen the movie. Anyway, so the trolley service is operated by Pumpmon and Dogmon, and Pumpmon gives pumpkin bento boxes with pumpkin pie inside, and Dogmon gives hot dogs. I don't know, it's a nice touch, and I like when they bring Digimon into it that aren't evil. They just sort of, this is their job.
I have a question for you. At some
Yes.
point, Locomon gets captured, right?
Yes?
Yeah. Does that mean that all the Digimon inside Locomon were also captured?
I think that they were also captured maybe, but I think they just wanted to hang out.
If they were also captured, how did they all get realized at the same time at the end of the episode?
Oh, then I don't think they're captured then. I just think they're tagging along for the ride.
Then where did they go when he was captured?
I think they just went there, maybe. I don't know.
And then
It's a nice
why
touch.
did
Don't
Team
think
Rocket
about
go
it.
get them back? No, think about all of it. All of it.
No, I didn't think about it, and now I don't want to. I don't want to think about it. No thinking. Anyway, now we're done not thinking.
Oh, so we're thinking again.
My next line in my notes actually it results about thinking and me not wanting to think. So I wrote, I'm not even going to think about the logistics of how long this would all take because
They're just going at like a train speed across
Yeah.
the world.
I mean, at this point, you could say, okay, maybe he's going really, 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 really fast.
But we
then
know he's
later
not,
on,
because that's
no,
the
I know.
story.
What I'm about to say is, Iru says, "Hey, don't you want to be like?" Or I think one of the Team Rocket guys says, "Hey, don't you want to be fast on the Shinkansen?" Shinkansen can go at 300 kilometers an hour. A plane goes at, I think, on average 600 kilometers an hour, and the maglev goes at 500 kilometers an hour, but isn't super out yet. So what they're saying is that they can go to where a plane would take about 10 hours, which is Australia, and back. So that would be 20 hours of
Yeah,
moving
they do it in one night.
in probably 8 hours.
Yeah, this didn't hit me.
That was
Until just now?
that was the part of the episode that upset me.
And what's funny is I just paid it off to like, oh, he's going through the Digiquartz or something. That just made sense to me, you know?
I know, but we never
Now that
actually
you mention
see them.
it, yeah, they never do.
And also,
The show is really bad. Did you know that?
arguably, the Digiquartz is described as something that's on a different layer, but on equal levels as the real world, or the human world, rather. It's the same as the AR field in Atmon. So, while it's, fair enough to travel from Japan to Hong Kong, that still would take time, but we're not giving, a maximum number of 8 hours, and it's to do a 20-hour plane journey. It's just really, that was the part of the episode that stuck out to me in terms of, even without thinking when I'm watching the episode, that was just a problem that was highlighted, just how is any of this possible?
Well, no, it's not. It's Digimon.
They didn't choose close places. If they chose, places within Asia or different parts of Japan, I'd be like, okay, that's fair enough. They went to Korea because Korea's super close, or they went to Japan, to Russia because Russia's super close, or anywhere, even China. They could still do that, but why did they take places that are and places in Europe, which is far away, and Australia, which is far away from Japan? It's
the answer is the magic of trains.
But the thing is, it's like they didn't even
The
think
magic
about
of
it.
trains.
But later on, they actually say, do you want to go fast on the Shinkansen? So it shows that the train is probably going at maybe 150 kilometers an hour. So I'm not sure how all this distance is covered in a space of 8 hours.
I'm so glad that my way of looking at this show has ruined your enjoyment of this show.
No, it's not even that.
I'm so happy.
I think even when I first saw this episode, I thought the same thing. It's just that it's just so annoying, and when it gets worse when you the more you think about how much distance they're traveling and how much I'm not sure if they've said what month that this happens in, but it is dark, so we can assume that if it's in winter, it's after 4:30, because that's when it gets dark in winter, or I think the sun sets at like 7 in summer there. So I would say, like, you could say, oh, what if they start really early? But even then, how are they travelling all this distance? Hey, where do you want to go, kids? Australia? All right, let's go to Australia. It made, like, a little bit more sense when it was on Imperial Digimon, because we could just say, he's a magic flying dragon, he can go very, very fast. And that's what the show basically told us. And we went, okay, that's dumb, but okay, he can go fast in a spaceship, he goes into space and he just zooms around the world. That's fine. And they never actually give a speed to him. They never actually really compare him with much. So we don't know how fast he's going, so we assume he's going very fast, big dragon, big travel. And then we look at this episode, and at the start, I'm like, okay, maybe he's just going really, really, really fast, and faster than, like, maybe twice as fast as a plane to do all that distance. Because if he's going twice as fast as a plane, that makes everything sort of make sense. Like, okay, maybe he can go to Australia in one night.
I don't agree. Even if it takes 5 hours to get there and 5 hours to get back, it's still 10 hours. That's more than one night.
Yeah, well, the kids are probably going to bed at, like, I don't know, 9, maybe. So that would sort of, like, and if they're waking up at, like, 7, that's fine. That's still, like, that gives them 10 hours of sleep, and we have the parents noticing that the kids aren't in their beds. So you could say that they're leaving early.
Still, it doesn't really work.
No, I'm just saying that's
doesn't matter.
How,
the whole
that's
episode
how,
falls
that's how the
apart.
start of the episode kind of lets you think, like, oh, maybe he's just going twice as fast as a plane. But then later on, because they had to add some conflict, they say how fast it's going, which is not as fast as a Shinkansen.
I just had to assume that it was teleporting, and that's the only way it could work.
That is fast, but the teleporting is much, and he wants to.
But teleporting isn't fast, though, right? You can teleport at walking speed.
Yeah, but his point is he wants to travel fast. He wants to go fast, and that's.
He wants to physically go fast, but teleporting, going from point A to point B is not what the definition of speed when teleporting exists.
I know, but I don't think he's teleporting because
that'd be just be.
I don't think he is. I think the show's just bad.
But doesn't he materialize in the air above Taiki when he first shows up? Like he comes out of the quartz?
Yeah, but that's still, like, even then that's not teleporting. I don't think he's teleporting.
You know that the quartz must be shorter because they use the train to go to Hong Kong quickly.
Yeah, but we don't, as I said before, we weren't given how long it takes to go to how long that would have taken. They just sort of show up at the start of the episode. They could have been on there for hours.
I mean, technically, but it's unlikely because they would have said something if it was that big a deal, right?
I'll just look up how long it takes to get to Hong Kong from Japan.
I'm so glad none of us did any research ahead of this. Doing it live.
It's like 2,000 kilometers.
Okay, that doesn't mean anything.
I know, I'm just going to look up flight time, because we'll just assume that, like, we'll just take that as a basis. So, it takes about between 3 hours and 4 hours to 30 minutes. So, let's say it took, like, I don't know, 6 hours. That's still doable. It could have been on a weekend.
They were on a regular train.
Yeah,
regular Trailmon.
I know, so it's like...
So it's going slower than a plane.
Yeah, so half the speed of a plane would be 6 hours or so.
Well, 300 kilometers an hour, so it's a bullet train.
Yes.
But we know they're not bullet trains because Locomon is, like, looking up to bullet train.
No, but that's a locomotive, not a train. And trains can go faster than
a train and a locomotive are the same thing.
No, sorry, steam locomotive as opposed to train.
But it's not a steam train. No one's loading coal into it.
He says he is.
He's just a Digimon.
We know he's a steam train because that's how they get rid of Team Rocket. He just gasses them out by sending smoke out of his coal area.
Yeah, but it's steam that should be coming out.
Well, still, that it is a steam train. Also, the things that come out of steam trains are grey. My point is, he is probably slower than a Trailmon, but not slower than Tigeru. Anyway. So...
The show is dumb.
Yeah, this episode is good except for the whole logistics thing. Anyway, Tigeru says that they should go home and nobody wants to. Locomon says the smiles of the kids give him power, so he doesn't eat on coal, even though we later see the coal room. Anyway.
I was really concerned that the crux of this episode would be, the train makes them too happy and he eats happiness, and thus we must stop him.
No, he's never super evil until they decide to make, like, the Tamers movie and get a Parasaimon.
Well, that was before this.
Well, that was after.
What? The Tamers movie was after Cross?
No, sorry. I thought you meant the what happens in this episode.
Well, you lumped those two things together, so I couldn't possibly have responded to the first bit then.
Oh, right. Anyway, so the next day, Tigeru is telling you, and they then pass some worried mothers and tired children, and all the kids looking really tired, including Kichi, and then it turns out he's going kind of crazy with lack of sleep. Tigru tells Taiki, and apparently the nurse's office is full of sleeping kids. So then they get on board the train, and what I noticed is Kichi has weirdly the same laugh as Juri when possessed, except he's not possessed, he's just a little bit sleepy.
Can we talk about how he's a literal train junkie?
He's a train wreck.
Oh, that's real good. That's the best joke you have personally ever made.
Hey, look, what about spaghetti and meatballs?
You are right. You got me. That was quality too.
Yeah, it happens. Rarely, but it does happen.
Maybe you got something here, kid. Maybe you got a career in stand-up.
Maybe not.
But
Probably
first I
not.
gotta stand up, and that's a deal breaker.
Oh. Anyway, so turns out Ren is hunting Locomon because he's Team Rocket now, and as I've mentioned, basically every time they've showed up, they have like varying levels of how evil they are, right? Like this happens constantly.
Ren is super evil. Grey-haired kid is actually surprisingly totally normal.
He's just a rival. He's just got a rival cockiness.
And Iru's pretty evil.
Iru's evil. She tried to steal Cutemon. There was a whole episode about it.
Yeah, she tries to kill people.
Yeah, like I think Iru is probably the most evil, but Ren is kind of like awful though as well, because he did that. He was just beating up the Kendo kids because he was bored.
They're different kinds of evil, you know.
Yeah, but they're just like Rom is kind of like. Boring's the wrong word, but he just doesn't really do anything comparatively, right?
You know what? I know he's boring because you said his name. I'm like, is that his name?
Yeah, great grey-haired rival dude. Sort of like, seems like he would be the Yamato character, but
yeah, he's got the design for it.
Yeah.
It's like they did the designs and they're like, oh, let's not.
But Pokemon's really popular, so how about we just Team Rocket them? Like, I think this...
It's a bit late, don't you think?
This season would be a lot... I say a lot, but that's like optimistically. It would be possibly a little bit better if they, instead of Team Rocket, they just had a big group of kids again. And
yeah, because they've never gone back to like 8 kids, have they? They got close, but then some of them weren't even Digimon tamers.
That worked fine. The groups of kids, that worked fine. I know that they've sort of settled on like 3 or 4.
But you would need to have them all be like well characterized, and they're never going to do that.
See, I think Adventure did a fine job of having the 8 kids and having characters, because they had characters. Their Digimon had characters. And what I like about this episode of Young Hunters is that Locomon has a character. He's got more of a character than some of the characters in this season.
Sort of.
Like, I can say so much about Locomon's personality, but I don't think I can tell anything about Tigru other than he's obnoxious and I hate him.
That's the right way to feel.
Like, Locomon, like, you can say he likes to go fast, he wants people to be happy, but he's also a little bit selfish in the way that he will put going fast before anything else, and he kind of just wants to be better, and it's sort of like to a fault that he wants to be better, like he would just do anything, even betray his friends. But then he does realise that he loses sight of the fact that he wanted to make people happy, and that wasn't happening when he was fulfilling his own selfish dreams. So that's
gotta go fast.
He has a character development in this episode. Who else?
Sort of.
Who else in this entire season has had character development, including Cross Wars?
That's a really good point.
Nobody had character development in Cross Wars. Like in the 3 parts, I can't think of any character development. Oh, Kiriha, I guess. But was that character development, or the writers just saying, "Oh, he's good now"?
Yeah,
yay.
That was much more the case.
Yeah, we found out things about him, but if you were to compare him to a similar backstory
but didn't he actively
Toma,
not develop because he would make the same mistakes over and over again?
Oh yeah, he would go awful and then nice and then awful and nice. He was just weird. But I'm just saying, if we compare him with Toma, similar story, but Toma had like character growth, and then we compare with another of the rival character, in air quotes, Ruki, amazing character development.
A whole bunch.
She never stopped being herself. Like, it didn't feel like a complete rewrite of her character to develop her, because sometimes that happens when you when you develop a character. It just turns out to be a rewrite. Like with Kiriha, different. With Nene, different. How did you age 7 years in 1 year?
Actually, it's amazing. Kiraha's the only person who, going into the season, hasn't changed at all.
He looks taller. Same as Taiki. Both he
That's
and
not
Taiki...
a character change, and you know it.
Okay. No, what I'm saying is that...
Imagine. Oh, yeah, he went from, like, being, I'm thinking of, like, Taichi, right? It's like, he went from being this, like, crazy, hyped-up kid to, like, a really serious adult who is basically, like, a general with, like, PTSD. That's a character development. You've got, like, all, what's her name? What's Taichi's Kichi's sister's name?
Hikari?
Hikari goes from being, this frail individual to being, trying to accept that she's kind of a Jesus figure. And then, what about Kiriha? Well,
he's
got
blonde.
Taller.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know. I like the fact that he and Taiki look the same and sort of act the same because it's been a year, but, I don't know why they messed up half the characters and the other characters they just made exactly the same as the last season. That's good enough, right? I prefer no character development to this is a different person.
I mean, no character development is really boring, and this is a completely different person, at least, is interesting.
I know, well,
good.
What's better? Kiriha's kind of like, I don't know, it's like Taiki and Kiriha not really changing their personalities much between Young Hunters and the Seven Death Generals, or Seven Death Generals Nene and Young Hunters Nene, who are different people.
Are you asking me what's better? Something that's boring and technically good, or something that's bad and entertaining?
It's not, but is it entertaining?
I mean, something being really, really off is entertaining.
But
not that Nene's thing was entertaining, that was garbage.
No, what I'm saying is Nene is just like, that's a different person. Like, it's just, I just feel like they got lazy and kind of like, wow, man, we have to finish this season before lunch break, and it's lunch break in about 5 minutes. How about we just do this? All right, great, good. See you guys at the Christmas breakup party.
That'll teach them.
Yeah, anyway, we do have the rest of the episode to talk about, but we are almost done because Team Rocket has shown up. So...
But, oh god, it begs so many questions when they finish.
Everything in this whole season. Everything. Anyway, so, what am I doing? So we capture Locomon, Kichi's absent from school, and they're talking about how he must be so sad and in shock, and, I'm just sitting here going, yeah, he might be sad, but I'm pretty sure he's probably sleeping because he probably hasn't slept for about a month.
A whole month, you say?
I don't know, I feel like all the places they've been to, and there's this big stack of photos, it's been a couple of weeks.
I don't think it has, but
I know,
fair
it's
enough.
been an amount.
Yeah, you know what? Time has passed, you're right.
Yeah, and, he is 11 or 12, and he probably hasn't slept for at least a week. Tiger has been with him
I honestly think
for
it's
2
been
nights.
a couple days.
No, well, Tiger has been with him for 2 nights, and then we have the night before where Tiger hears a Locomon.
So three nights.
No, but then we see that Tiger... what's his name? Kichi has several photographs. So I want to say at least a week.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. But I think it's like a junkie kind of thing where he wasn't using as hard before, but the more he got into it, because all those photos are just him, right?
Yeah.
When all of a sudden it became other people were relying on him, that might have been when he started spending so much time. I'm trying really hard to make this work.
Protect this. Don't try to justify this show.
Why would I do this to myself?
Or do you trying to justify this character anyway? I get your point, but the point is that even then... we know that it's definitely been 3 nights in a row. 100%. It has been 3 nights in a row. And he is 11. If I don't sleep 3 nights in a row, I wouldn't be awake. Well, have you ever been awake for 3 nights in a row?
Not 3. Honestly, I had a friend who was up for 72 hours, which is that full 3 full days.
Yeah.
And at which point she said that she was wandering off in the forest thinking that she was seeing jelly octopi covering the ground. At which point, and also she thought she was being chased by wolves.
Yeah, and remember, this is an 11-year-old, and it might be more than 3 nights, so yeah, dude's probably asleep. Anyway, so Kichi asks Taiguru to rescue Locomon, and Taiguru says that only if he learns to travel in moderation. So next night, Team Rocket are on Locomon, and he says he's apparently circled the world 3 times, and as Ren's promise, he can be faster than the Shinkansen because he's crossed with Terramon. And it's just, I don't know, even if he's faster than the Shinkansen, let's say, I don't know, let's do maglev speed, because that's the fastest train thing in sort of existence. 500 kilometers an hour. How do you travel across the world that many times?
Because he's probably going faster than that when it's Digimon assisted.
He says he's faster than a plane as well. Never mind. But still, that's very fast. Anyway.
And then when we see him flying, he's all all over the place.
Yeah. And no, that's mainly when Parasaimon attaches to him, which now happens. Iru reloads Parasaimon to make Locomon faster, and I'm not sure why he doesn't become Grand Locomon, which is what happened in the Tamers movie, but whatever.
The movie's a non-canon, that's why.
True. And then Kichi, being a complete and utter idiot, starts climbing on top of Locomon, on his roof, and this is going faster than a plane, so can we think about the air pressure?
I'd rather not.
So we're thinking about the air pressure and the height, and we're going faster than a plane. He is standing up, unassisted, on top of this thing going faster than a plane, and he's not dead. Anyway, so he tries to convince him with the power of friendship, but he doesn't try crying on him, though. Anyway, so Lockermon realizes that this isn't how he wants to run and breaks free, and it turns out Parasaimon's still controlling the brakes, and it turns out the screams of the children power him now, not the smiles and the laughter and the happiness of the children. And then Team Rocket says, hey Iru, can you stop that thing? And Iru's like, he doesn't listen to me, so that sounds like a great Digimon to have. And this is just such like I know, it's such like because the script said so thing, like, oh, why can't she get him back? Because he doesn't go into his crossloader. Okay, which to the show's merit, at least she then later says, oh, he goes into his crossloader now. At least she mentions that. Anyway, so Tigeru and Kichi are both being absolute dumb children things, because I can't swear on this show, but they're being incredibly silly. And they're just running on top of the Lockermon going faster than the train. And that's just... logistically, this episode makes no sense. Anyway, Gumdramon is fighting Parasaimon without evolving, apparently, which is great. Great work. Gumdramon hits Parasaimon, and he goes back into the crossloader. Lockermon kicks out Team Rocket.
was way too cool with just murdering children.
Yeah, that's why I think she's super, super evil. Like,
yeah, I would agree.
Very, very evil. Anyway, so Team Rocket gets kicked out of the air, and they die. They blast off again, I guess. And I guess Kichi learns nothing, because the next night we see him flying through the air again. Anyway, that's the episode. So we get the introduction corner. Lockermon's crossed with Darulamon, and Darullamon's the wheels now. It's cute. What do you think of this episode as someone who's new to Digimon?
Oh, it's so bad. Like, it sets up this thing with zero tension at all.
Yep.
And then, at the end, there's even less than zero tension. Because here's the thing, right?
Yep.
What is it that drives a story?
Plot.
Honestly, a plot is that part of the story, but I mean, like, what drives a plot even? Like, what pushes things forward?
The script.
No, but like, the script contains something. Like, the script has to have content. A good script has characters with motivations. The reason
Lockermon had motivation.
Yeah, sure. But the reason good fan fiction exists is because, and about things people like, is because the things people like, you can identify very quickly what does this character want, and as a result of that, you can create your own stories by just changing little things in the world, and then having people react to it, because you understand what someone wants, you'll see where they go, and you understand that, and when they achieve something, it'll feel really satisfying, right? When your character wants something, and they finally get it, when Masaru really wants to see his dad, and he talks about it all the time, and then he sees him for the first time, and it's something there, because you get it, you understand. What do Team Rocket in this show want?
Basically, they're just motivated by being evil. Because
the only thing that I could have told you up until this point is they want to hunt Digimon. They just want them, right?
Yes.
Okay, so within that motivation, how is it ever possible that Ren, the most evil of the three, having already captured a Digimon... First of all, he captures this Digimon presumably with lies, and then it's not. He just actually makes him really fast to go around the world. But then, why would he go to Taiki when they're called? How did they get in contact in the first place? None of that matters. Why would he just give the Digimon back?
Because he's kind of just like that. Team Rocket have been weird in that way, where they've just changed, and when I say Team Rocket, I'm talking about Digi-Team Rocket. They just sort of decide they don't want the Digimon anymore, and they say, oh, never mind, you can have him.
No, because, like, Ren, that's his name, right? Has done that...
Yeah.
Ren. Has done it... No, the grey-haired one.
Roma.
Roma has done it a few times, where he's, like, given something over, or, like, given up a fight or whatever. So I go, okay, that might be in his character. This is the first time Ren's done it, where he's not only... But this might be the first time someone's captured a Digimon, and then transferred it over. It's not even like they beat him, right? They stopped Iru's Digimon from killing people, and the only thing that convinced Ren as an individual was that he got a bit of smoke on him. And that was a choice from flying through it. Which means, in the sense of this episode, he defeated himself.
Well, no, we've seen that they're quite lazy in terms of hunters, and they don't want anything that'll disobey them. In previous episodes, we had them say things like, oh, I don't want a Digimon like that, or hey, let's leave, this Digimon's out of control, I don't want one that's so out of control. I don't think that, and for some reason, Tigeru can control ones that's out of control, and they can't, and as we see that with Parasaimon, that Iru has no idea how to control him. So I think they're just not good at being hunters, so that's why they don't... as soon as they see a Digimon misbehaving or not listening to them, that don't want them and they're not interested in them, and we do.
But his
to be
Digimon
fair-
didn't even misbehave. It was a parasite controlling it. He could see that.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just trying to protect the show.
Well, stop that. Just stop that. It's
I
that
mean-
simple.
I could try. Anyway, so how would you rate this episode?
It's terrible. It's like you know what? It's still the best one of the three we saw, and isn't that just the worst?
Yeah, I liked this
So
episode.
it's a 2.
I gave it a 7, which is too high considering the logistics, so I'm dropping that down to a 5.
Fair enough. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
an
don't
episode...
think it deserves a 5 by any means.
I mean, I gave it a 7, but then when I still knew about the logistics, and then it just got like, I don't know. Anyway, what about compared to your prediction synopsis?
I thought this was more of like a I said globetrotting around the world, but I thought it was like the kids themselves kind of do that on this possessed train. Rather, it was just a train which was doing that, and then it became possessed. It actually, almost all of it was right, except that like it wasn't possessed from the start. It was just possessed later, and also it wasn't like secret. It was just on there. So it wasn't just the second Tamers movie, but it had a lot of the same themes.
Yeah.
A lot of the same themes, and it was a Locomon, which I remember saying it would be.
Yeah, I think you said that or a Trailmon. I
Yes,
think.
but I think I said that Trailmon was less likely.
Yeah, something like that. The second episode that we're watching this week is called Gather Hunters, Digimon Competition in the Southern Island. And first of all, we have the title card for the episode, which did you notice anything strange with the title card?
I can't say I did.
I'll just
I don't know
upload
if I was
it.
looking at the title card.
I'll just plop it into Disc. But anyway, so I'll let Jay describe the contents of the title card, and if you can see anything that's kind of like revealing in it.
Is it just am I meant to? Oh, I guess that looks like Tai Chi in the middle. He's just really short.
Well, there are a couple of splotches around the screen, silhouettes, but they're splotchy silhouettes, so I think they tried to like not super spoil what was happening.
Well, like the only one that is identifiable is the middle one.
And Masaru.
I honestly can't identify it. Like I know he's meant to be there.
He's the one who's like 3 heads taller than everyone else, and he's on the right hand side, the far right.
That looks like an old man.
The far right.
Oh, I kind of see it now.
Yeah, he's got the hand out. This is their concept art.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have known that. To be quite honest with you, like the one on the right is not that identifiable because Masaru has normal hair.
Yeah, and no goggles. Look, it's more identifiable than the next set of silhouettes that come up. This is a screen that we get at the end of the episode, and we also get some silhouettes, so I just want to see if, while we're on the topic of silhouettes being leading to what's happening, I'm just sending the silhouettes, but they're a little bit more obvious than the splotches on the title card, and also in the title card it just says Digimon, Digimon, Digimon a bunch of times. That's something I noticed.
Because I was just saying in my thing, like my notes, oh, this just turned out to be a filler episode. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked that it was just filler, and then this happened. I go, oh, it's almost still filler.
So who do you think else is in those silhouettes?
Oh god, it's too small. I can't see anything.
Can you zoom in if you
I
click on
see
it?
something like a bear. Hold on, open original. How big is the... Oh, no, oh god. What's that? I assume it's just all the main characters. Oh, there's Gilmon. Look at that. So is this the big conceit of Cross Wars where it's like, oh, it's all the main characters. It's forever red.
Maybe they never show up again.
Oh my god, please tell me they never show up again.
Maybe.
That would be
I'm not
the
saying.
funniest thing in the world if we got through the entire season and they legitimately never showed up.
I mean, it sure is a season that's half as long as all the other seasons.
That's true, but does that mean it cut off early?
Anyway, so Clockman's giving us an intro, and meanwhile Tiger is looking at all the Digimon that he caught, and Clockman passes in a boat and says that there are many like him that have lots of skills, and they're like him but better, and then Tiger is invited to some big hunter event, but the invite's blank. So my most important part about this episode is the next scene, where Tiger is trying to get to see if Taiki and you can figure out this invitation, which somehow they all have copies of, I guess, even though Taiki's meant to be exempt from this whole thing, but never mind. And they're trying to work it out, and Gumdramon says, I guess you weren't being exceptionally stupid because you can't work it out. And I'm like, wow, Gumdramon, why do you hate Tiger all of a sudden? And Tiger agrees, but then he realizes what was just said.
Like, he figured it out by being a dumbass.
Yeah.
So, good job, I guess.
So it turns out to be some barcode, which Wisemon analyzes, so he's useful, and it's a location, but it's not in Japan. Meanwhile, some road is melting away, and Clockmon says it's to do with this thing, which is like this, I guess, the monster of the week. Kiichi's back, taking Tigro to where Clockman is, and Hideki from the Money episode's also on the train. So, like, well done actually bringing back these characters for a couple of screens, right? Rom is playing piano.
Did they do anything?
Yep.
Did they ever actually, like, achieve anything?
Hideki gives up because his Digimon almost dies, and Kiichi doesn't actually want to be involved in the hunt, he just wants to ride trains.
Yeah, well, I guess the one thing he does is he transports them there, which begs the question, how did everyone else get there? Because they don't all have a train friend.
I would like to say that Team Rocket probably knows someone, or they just use the Terramon, and everyone else probably just used Digimon that they've caught, I guess.
Yeah, you can go through the Digiquartz. Like, we just know you can do that.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, Rom is playing piano and other hunters are in this room with their Digimon. Clockman's there. He tells them to hunt a very powerful Digimon. And then he says it's straight up okay to steal from each other. That's nice. Thanks, Clockman. Tiger's really excited. He runs off into danger. And all the Digimon are just attacking everything for fun. And then Tiger dies and the season ends the end.
Finally. Why is, like, way to just kill all the tension in the scene when, like, everyone's freaking out and dying. And he's like, oh, this is great.
I guess it's to show the type of person he is, which is
But
awful.
we know the type of person he is, which means it would be more effective to show him be scared, whereas if he's happy, it's like, oh, then nothing matters.
I don't know. I think they're meant to be trying to do that hyperactive but perfect protagonist, like in Hunter x Hunter with Gon, and like in One Piece with Luffy, when they have like this I'm gonna win kind of guy who just kind of walks in there and is kind of like not intimidating and then says he's going to win and then does, but somehow they do it despite doing the same sort of thing. Luffy's fine, like you kind of just go, oh yeah, Luffy will win, that's fine. And in Hunter x Hunter, you look at Gon and you go, yeah, Gon will win with his fishing rod.
Because Luffy has two things. He has a motivation, like an actual motivation of what he wants to do, and also he can be serious. So that when he is serious, it's a big deal.
Yeah, but it's also, even then, he's still kind of like, he's kind of still a little bit wacky, and same with Gon. Like, Gon also has a motivation, and you could say Tiger has a motivation, but it's just dumb. So they are trying to do what they have, like, what other shonen protagonists is like, I'm happy-go-lucky, and I'm nice, and I'm kind of like goofy in a way, and I'm cute, but also I'm very powerful. But they just make Tiger so annoying by trying to make him all these different character types, but they just don't settle on anything. And Tiger should have died like 50 times by now.
It would have been so nice too.
And then again, Luffy and Gon, the examples I gave, they're also cautious. Like, Tiger is not cautious.
Like
anyway,
ever.
Clockman asks Taiki if he's going to, which is confusing considering Clockman at the start of the season said that Taiki couldn't enter the hunt and he couldn't join in. So I don't know why all of a sudden Clockman's asking Taiki if he wants to join in, and why he sent him an invitation because he told Taiki not to join in. Anyway,
yeah, also,
Taiki says he has something to ask Clockman. Sorry, you were saying?
What is Clockman's deal? And I mean that in the sense that, like, if his plan, right, is to get everyone to defeat this Digimon, why does he make it a competition? Why does he want them to fight each other? Because they're just going to be worse at it, right?
Yeah, that's a point.
Like, it's the least efficient way to go about it. And at the same time, he says, like, a prize? Did you notice that there is no prize? He was just lying to them?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if it's explained, but I hope it is.
I bet it's not ever.
So Taiki asks why Digimon are appearing, and then meanwhile everything starts melting, so all the kids flee because they don't want to die. Yu is alone, and Iru's going to be creepy apparently.
Every time.
And she's going to bully him, so she just reminds me of, like, I don't know, that creepy villain in My Hero Academia, the creepy girl one, the transforming blood one.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea what her name is.
Yeah, Toga, I think.
Oh, yeah, I love her. She's the best.
Yeah, I love her, and I want to cosplay her, but, like, she gives me, like, a correct amount of, God, this is creepy. And Iru kind of, like, gives me a little bit of that vibe, but, like, a sort of, like, softcore version of the vibe. Like, she's still creepy. She's just saying, hey, I'm gonna bully you. I don't know, it just reminds me of her. Anyway. So Yu calls Iru by name and says that it's not a good trap if she tells him about it, and then it turns out it's a trap, and Suamon traps Iru in a bag. So the other part of Team Rocket are around, and Hideki calls Tigeru dumb, and all of a sudden Hideki's kind of mean towards Tigeru, which we've never seen before, and I don't get... This episode is kind of like... weird pacing would be a bad way to describe it, but it just seems like it's all over the place. Like, it's just like, now we jump to this character, then we jump to this character. It's just everywhere. So Volcajamon shows up.
And
cool
none of
design.
them are interesting, which is probably the most important part.
Yeah. I like Volcajamon's design, though. He's kind of cool. It's what you would expect. He's just a volcano dragon. And Tigrew freezes, you think, is it because he's actually scared? Nope, he thinks it's awesome because he's about to die. And this is, as you said before, it would be meaningful if he was scared. Because that'd be like, oh wow, Tigrew is scared, that doesn't happen. And you're going to hate the whole season because it's just Tigrew being the chosen one in asterisks and like, I mean, talking marks and just like sparkles and everything. He's just the chosen one. And it's
so frustrating.
And I just remembered how the whole season ends and like Tigrew is the worst. In like, I thought like Daisuke was the worst, but Daisuke is redeemable. Daisuke has like some positive aspects. He's kind of a jerk, but that's fine. He kind of grew up. He got a noodle cart. Tigrew is just awful. Anyway, so everyone wants to run away except for Tigrew, and next scene is him being passed out. All the other hunters quit. Hideki quits too, and there's hot water around the world that's boiling up, and Tigrew has an idea involving the groundwater, and then Roma and Ren's still around, because of course they are. Tigrew uses Sagamon and Blistermon to send electrified water through the cracks, which brings Volcajamon out.
It's like almost a good idea, and then you think, because he goes, oh, the water, you think, oh, it's like a volcano Digimon, so maybe water will do something, and then you get to discover that he brings it out, and he had no plan.
Yes, and Roma
his
points out... His
plan is literally, fight it until I win.
Yes, which, like, I'm glad that doesn't work. Like, I'm glad that Roma immediately points out that it's a bad idea, and Roma, like, and immediately it is shown to be a bad idea. So they talk about how Iru is meant to set traps, and then Yu feels guilty because she can't set traps because she's caught, and now it's evolution time because they remembered it's an episode of Digimon. And what I noticed about this season is that I don't think we've seen any split screen evolutions, like simultaneous evolutions.
That's the only thing I'd actually say about the last episode that I liked, was that there were no evolutions at all.
Yeah. And meanwhile, this episode, they decide that instead of having split evolutions, they'll either show them back to back, or they'll just skip them and they're magically evolved. Skipping them's fine.
Which is better.
But in this circumstance, if skipping it's good if you go scene to scene, but because it's all meant to be happening at the same time, they should have done split screen evolutions. Like, that was always something I liked about Zero 2, because I don't think... Adventure, I think, might have had one split screen evolution, and it was the first time they Warp Evolving wasn't split screen. Anyway, I can't remember if there was any split screens evolutions in Adventure, but they definitely had them in Zero 2.
I don't know.
I always thought that was good, that they did that, because I'm like, oh good, we don't have to watch 5 minutes of evolutions.
No, don't worry about it. Just waste tons and tons of time.
Oh, no, they definitely didn't.
But then we don't need to animate stuff then.
One of the last episodes of Adventure was just half an episode of evolutions. They definitely didn't have split screen evolutions. Do you remember that?
Oh god, I wish I could forget.
Where they were like, let's evolve to perfect. Digimon, Digimon,
that was garbage.
Because they had that part repeated at the start. I don't know, it was just, it sure did happen. Anyway, so they get the evolutions and they run off, and Kiraha rescues Taiki, and Tigrew seems, and I love this, to be just in love with Kiraha as he was with Nene. He is obsessed with him. It is adorable. Anyway,
sort of. I mean, like, it's his old friends. I kind of get it.
Tigrew hasn't met Kiraha before or know of him.
Oh, Tigrew, yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, you know him. No, he's not in love, not in the same way. I didn't feel that.
Oh, he gets like sparkly eyes. It's just a little bit as in love with Kiraha as he was with Nene. Anyway, Kiraha's going to help them with a plan, and what I want to point out is that how come Nene was completely clueless about the situation with the Digimon, but Kiraha's not?
Because Kiraha's more involved with it and doesn't have a career.
I know, but Nene seemed like she was always super into it as well. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, when she was there.
Nene is annoying because they could have done her so well by having her like be like this secret, like actually being an idol, but is actually investigating things. I don't know. Anyway. So, Kiraha super evolves Metal Greymon, and Kiraha captures Volcajamon because he deserves him, but he gives it away to Tigrew because... Why? Why not? I don't know. It suits his thing.
Have this insanely powerful Digimon.
Except for the fact it's red, it suits his whole aesthetic of dragons, but he likes blue, I think, and he only wants blue dragons, which I can get behind. Roma says he expects nothing less from a legendary hero, referring to Kiraha, which begs the question of why was Kiraha invited and why was Taiki invited and why are they here and hunting if legendary heroes are meant to be exempt from the hunt?
Well, because I assume that Kiraha wasn't invited. Although obviously Taiki was, so who knows?
That's still weird. And then when back to the scene when Clockman says, "Hey, Taiki, do you want to go participate in the hunt?" What? Hey, why aren't you going along too? Because you told him he couldn't. And no one mentions that. They just forgot. The writers forgot. They gave up. They just said, we had an idea of how to nerf them, but now we're 14 episodes in, so we don't have to nerf them anymore. They can be just as powerful as they ever was.
14 was their breaking point.
Yeah, well,
That's
I guess
not very much.
it's the last, 10 episodes, and by 10 episodes, I mean 7 of these are filler. We still have a couple of weeks until we get to any semblance of plot, by the way.
It looked almost like there was plot coming.
No, forget about
Almost.
it. And remember how I think the last 4 episodes we're watching in one clump? Those are the 4 episodes of plot.
Wait, which ones?
You know how we organised the schedule so we could have the last 4 episodes in one clump because they're basically part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4?
I couldn't say I knew what the what the timeline looked like off the top of my head, but fair enough.
I think I mentioned it when I organised it.
Oh, these things happen, yeah.
Yeah, so those are the only episodes of plot.
Why? Is Taichi in them, or is it just a tease?
But
Why is
the
it
plot.
like this?
Anyway, so Kiraha says he leaves the most important place, Japan, for them to look after. Lokomon picks them up, and Taiki wonders why the centre of the town is where the Digimon are coming. And I'm actually glad they pointed this out, because it always makes me wonder, hey, why is this only ever happening exactly where the kids are? And Taiki explicitly says, hey, why is this only happening where our town is? Like, he just says where we live. Like, it's not happening anywhere else, it's just our town. And this Digimon seemed to be coming towards Japan, so why is it all centering around this place? Which is great, because it's a very good question. And thank you, writers, for writing something that was almost cohesive.
Like, yes. You hear the hesitation, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
You wrote something.
Yeah.
Exists.
They basically, it wasn't just like writing the on the paper, but it was pretty close. And then we get, are you ready for our 1 minute of plot? Which might even be less than 1 minute, I'm not sure.
It was way less than 1 minute.
And so Clockmon's on a boat with some friends, and Clockman apologises to them for calling them together and not giving them a chance to get some action. And then we see Masaru and Taichi. Masaru's just punching his hand because he's still my Masaru.
So what would have, what do you think would have let him get, like, how would they have gotten action, is the question.
I guess if the kids failed in fighting Volcodramon.
If they had died.
Do
you think Taichi would have sat on a boat while kids died?
That's not what we saw in the picture that this seems to be, like, adventure Taichi. This is like 11-year-old Taichi. Like,
also, yeah, he's short.
Yeah.
But, like, would Masaru have sat back while people died?
Masaru looked like he was annoyed that he had to sit back. I think he was made to. He is punching his hand. That dude is not one happy chappy.
Why would this old man have been able to tell him what to do?
Maybe he was better at punching. I don't know. Anyway, so we get the introduction corner. It's Volcodramon crossed with Suamon, and they become Mount Fuji together because disguises and stuff. What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
It wasn't good, I'll tell you that.
At least it had some sort of hint of a plot.
But it begs so many questions.
Yep.
Like, why did any of this happen? Why is the clock dude running it? What reason did he have to fight this Digimon? Was there any others? Why did he lie to them all? Why did he set them against each other? It's just so bad. And obviously he wants them all to come together, but he makes it a puzzle, so they have to be kind of smart. But smart isn't what beats Digimon. Strong is.
I think they just wanted to add some level of difficulty, not for the characters, but so the viewers see it as some sort of challenge.
Also, because Kiriha shows up and then, like, immediately leaves, you can very reasonably say that, like, this is a filler episode anyway, because if it didn't happen, what difference is there to the story, like, at all?
Well, you can actually take out this entire episode and it wouldn't have any effect on the plot.
Absolutely.
From what I can remember.
Including the people you see at the end.
Yeah, the whole thing, you can just take it out. It's
who
not
are, like,
needed.
A huge spoiler, and yet also somehow not a spoiler at all.
Yes, you can take out this. I've seen the whole season. You can take out this episode. It won't make a difference.
I'm, like, so concerned.
As I said, you could probably watch, like, maybe the first episode, the first episode, maybe the second episode as well. Maybe, yeah, so maybe the first 2 episodes and then the last 4 episodes, and you'd get about as much from Young Hunters as you would watching everything.
So upsetting.
Yeah, like, there are only 4 episodes you really need to watch. 5 if you include the pilot.
First episode.
The first episode explains who the characters
who
are.
these people far.
Oh, maybe the episode when you reunites with Damemon, because I guess that's important. Anyway, so...
Yeah, technically.
What would you rate this episode?
It's a 1. It's bad. It's really bad.
I gave it a 5 just because, like...
And that 1, the entire point was the surprise of like, oh, Taichi's there.
See, that's why I gave it the 5, because like 2.5
Wow, so
for...
unbelievably
2.5 for Masaru, 2.5 for Taichi.
You're like unfairly
But I'm
generous.
actually going to subtract 5 points because Haru's not there.
That would do it. I mean, he
Despite
could be on.
not
Is he
being
not on the
out
boat?
yet. Pardon?
Oh, because Haru doesn't exist. Yeah.
Did you just say? Oh, because that was my joke. I was making a joke because Haru didn't exist.
The
And
thing
you were
I said didn't
yeah,
make
that's fair.
sense. Oh, like, there's so many characters and so many names. Leave me alone. I'm
I mean,
hungry.
like, we got to see the first, I want to say Goggle Kid, but I can't really say Goggle Kid, so, like, guy with the stuff.
Wow, the guy with the stuff.
Because, like, they're all Goggle Kids, except for Masaru, who's just angry boy with brown hair. He's, like, the most normal looking of the Goggle Kids.
I mean,
For
I don't know
starters,
what
Haru has green hair. He's not normal. Tigeru's got, like, this red streak, but so does
It's
his
normal
mom.
for him.
Hmm?
It's normal for him.
I guess Eri also has pink hair.
His mom has green hair.
Yeah, so at least they can say, okay, it's natural, but like, I don't know. Masaru's great and normal. Anyway, how'd this episode compare to your predictions in Obnoxious Synopsis?
So, I thought they'd get this big message to gather and Hunter thing.
And they did.
And that was totally true. And then I said it'd annoy me if I was still clueless as to why they were hunting at the end of the episode. And I kind of am. Which means that it really wasn't filler exactly, because Kiriha showed up, so we know he exists. And this, but it also was filler, because I'm sure it doesn't matter. Anyway, point being, I was right on the small details that I went with, the broad strokes of what it was.
Yeah?
Which is great. I love being right. Even in small ways.
Yep.
Yes.
Those were your predictions?
My prediction was that it would be bad. And I was always right.
Yeah, well, in this season, you're always right. In other seasons, just like, hey, this episode was good, but in this season, if you say it's going to be bad, I'm like, well, can't argue with it. You're there, it's not good.
Literally impossible to argue with me because I'm always right.
Our third episode we watched this week is called Want Friends, Philesmon, The Devil's Promise. Yes, we have another episode to talk about, even though I feel like we've been sitting here talking about these episodes for days.
The worst episode of the season by
I just want to point out that you could just copy and paste Jay's predictions in Obnoxious Synopsis and just put it in this episode, and I feel like that would have been a better episode. Not that I hate this episode.
Well, it was what I thought it would be, and then it became another weird thing.
Look, whenever they introduce the power of friendship plus crying on someone to heal them, I just lose interest. And also, like, this kid is so dumb. He gets taken to some random place and sees a very evil, scary-looking dude, and then goes, Yep, seems legit. I can trust this guy. This guy has, like, jagged teeth.
Seems like a guy I could trust.
Like, who would look at this guy and go, yeah, I can trust him. It's the neon blue eyes and the red skin and the shark teeth that really make him look trustworthy. Anyway, this kid's dumb, and that's the plot of the episode. Next
100%.
episode. Anyway, so...
Well, next episode is end of show, which, you know...
End of show forever. Yeah. Anyway,
Almost.
So the kid's starting new school, hoping to make friends this time. Kid gets taken to Digicourt, scary guy's there, Philesmon, and this is when I realised I don't remember this episode.
Like at all?
Like, I
Well,
mean,
there's nothing to remember.
obviously I remember this episode from when I watched it like a week ago, but in terms of watching this episode, I was watching this episode must be for the first time because I did not remember it. And for all the other episodes, I may not remember it by the title, but I definitely remember it when I'm watching the episode. Like, oh yeah, I remember this episode. And there are some titles where I'm like, oh, I think I remember like bits of the episode. Like, oh, I remember this episode has this Digimon in it. This episode, I do not remember. I'm pretty sure I watched it because I'm using the same like files that I watched last time. So I don't think I could imagine me skipping any episodes. But I don't remember this episode or this Digimon at all. He is a completely new Digimon in my eyes, and I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I don't remember this episode. Anyway, probably because it was bad. Anyway,
it's really bad. It's so generic.
The kid's dad relocates for work, and he does that a lot, so making friends is hard. And so this guy's like, hey, I've got like 5 bottles of wine. Do you want to share some wine with me, child, to christen our new friendship? And it's already just like, this guy is so creepy, and this kid is so dumb.
Would
and
you like to drink with me?
And he says, if you work with me, I'll make every kid at school like you, which is so creepy. This whole thing is like, hey, R. Kelly, is that you?
There's almost a good plot here with the mind controlling people.
Yes.
Almost, but it does fail.
Oh yeah, well, it's Young Hunters, so of course it fails. Anyway, Tiger is running late and wants to buy bread, and he turns around, he knocks over the new kid, and his keychain in his bag breaks, and it's apparently super important, even though we only see it in the first scene, and this scene, and then the third scene when Tiger says, I got your keychain. Anyway.
Yeah, the beginning, the middle, and the end. So it never showed up.
And also, did you notice that Tigeru is now replaced by Taiki because this is not something Tigeru would do?
I agree. Like, it's super weird that he's acting this way.
Like, if this was Taiki doing this, I'd be like, yeah, checks out, seems legitimate.
What's important is that he sits there and he's like, he seemed really lonely and I'm gonna be his best friend. And you go, you saw him for half a second.
Which, even then, that's not, that wouldn't be Taiki's personality, but the whole, like, abandoning everything just for this kid who you don't know, that's a Taiki thing to do.
Yeah, being late for school.
When have we ever seen Tigeru be nice?
That is a weirdly good question.
Like, this doesn't say, and as I said, and I say this every episode, they can't make up their mind on what kind of person that they want Taiki to be, Tigeru, sorry, because or any characters actually, because they cannot decide on a personality for any of these characters, and they can't make up their mind between like, do I want this character to be mean, do I want them to be nice, and they kind of wing it. They kind of just say, okay, well today his personality will be spins wheel, friendly.
What do we need him to be today?
Yeah, and it's just like, he doesn't have a personality. His personality is whatever the circumstance is.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and just like, whenever Tigeru has like a problem, it's always just because the script told him to be. It's never like, with Taiki, all his problems were, someone's in need and he couldn't turn his back on him. And that was always something we just sort of went, yep, that checks out. And that was consistent. In some points, you kind of went, okay, that's kind of okay, and kind of points like, okay, now they're just putting him trying too hard because it's for the plot, but at least it was always the same thing. He never changed. He never didn't. He always kept by, hey, I'm not going to turn my back on this person. Even if they were a stranger, even if they were a kind of bit of an evil character, he would always stand by them. And then we have Tigeru, who is not like that at all, who has been shown, of the majority of the time, to be incredibly selfish. Hey, Masaru, kid I've never spoken to before, can we go to your place and have free food? Hey, guy I've also never spoken to, I hear you've been going around the world. Maybe it's on a Digimon. Can I come too? Not because I want to investigate if it's a Digimon, mind you, because I think it'd be cool.
Well, it would be cool. And I'm the main character.
Yeah, the
so
only consistent character trait is he's like, oh yeah, I could do this, and that's not a trait, that's a protagonist. Like that, I can't just say that's a personality, because every shonen main character protagonist has that, I can do this, except for like Haru and Takato, which makes them perfect. Anyway, so the majority of shonen protagonists have that, and also Deku from My Hero Academia. So
Who's great. Don't talk about my green Naruto that way.
What I'm saying is Naruto's terrible. Like he's like Tigeru.
It's like green Naruto, different.
No, but I'm just saying he's better than Naruto because he's not perfect and he doesn't go, yeah, I can do this. But my point is that a lot of protagonists in shonen, especially, have that sort of mentality of, I can do this. You can't just say that's the only character thing. You've got to have other things besides that. You've got to have problems that are redeemable, and then you've got to have like soft spots and good things. And Tigeru's changed constantly. He's awful. Anyway, so he goes into the water, he acts like Taiki and says, I really want to be this guy's friend. And then we go back to class, and some girls in his class are attracted to him, which is only relevant every maybe 5 episodes.
And is it even relevant per se?
It's just annoying. So the new kid introduces himself, and Felizmon is helping him and actually hypnotizes them all. And also there's just an awful kid who says, hey, speak up, which is just awful. I wanted to slap this random child.
And that character is the only reason there is any tension on this front part.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd go, he's just standing in front of the class and they'll give him as much time as he needs.
Yeah.
There's no problem here at all.
Yeah.
Except
it's random. So they all want to go to a welcoming party now because they love this guy because they've been hypnotized. And Tigeru comes up late because he was in the lake, and he's not hypnotized, and he sees the party. Yu is doing impressions of balloons, and Tigeru thinks it's all weird, so he goes to tell Taiki. And meanwhile, Kid wants to make even closer friends, like this isn't enough for him. And
was it closer friends or just more?
No, he doesn't say more. He's happy with these friends, because then Felizmon say, hey, why don't you want to be friends with everyone in the whole school? And the kid says, I'm happy with just the class, I just want to be close to them. And then Felizmon says, but the other kids will be jealous jealous of you, so they'll start to hate you, so why don't you make them friends too? So he's like, and his name's Makoto, by the way, which I'd only just remembered. He says that Philesmon is his friend too, and Philesmon says that this gives him power, and then more people get possessed. They all start drawing a summoning circle, super evil, by the way. Taiki and Tigru go to the Digicourts, the schoolyard's blocked off, and Philesmon can tell that someone's there, and he says that only those who he's accepted can enter this, and I thought this would be how they fix the episode, like how they overcome this problem. It's never relevant again. They defeat them with the power of friendship. They had a good out here. They could have had Makoto traveling to the Digicourts, and then because Philesmon has accepted him, he's able to enter the summoning circle that he's blocked off, right? That's how I thought they would do the episode.
There are any number of solutions other than what they did, which is introduce a mechanic where the bad guy turns people to stone, but then also, like, not be affected by being turned to stone at all.
Yes.
And then, obviously, pulling a solution out of your butt with these little mannequin dolls.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which were never assigned any significance other than this kid had them.
No, it wasn't like, oh, this was... And they could have easily put in, and this is what, if I were doing a dub, I would add an extra line of, oh, my best friend from my last school gave me this. I hope I'll be able to make friends like that.
That would be really simple.
And that's just one line. And as I've said before, that's what I think the dub does really well sometimes, is that they will fix a problem by adding in a small line. And it's
and
not
they'll create a million other problems by doing the same thing.
I'm just saying that they could easily just do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so... all the kids are drawn to the circles, and they all have pitchforks now, and they all stand in the line, and they're very creepy, and the power of friendship is evil, I guess, now, and all the kids are turning into digital data, and Philesmon wants to become another Digimon with this. Then Tigru breaks free, and I realised that random girl in the class has a name. Her name is Mami, which I'll probably forget in another episode. Tigru feels useless. Philesmon grows. He asks Makoto to join him. Tigru evolves Gumdramon, and Shatmon evolves too. They get turned to stone, and then they start to get absorbed.
But is he ever really turned to stone, like, at all? Because he has full motion from his torso.
I don't know. Anyway, it's a thing that something is happening. They're just turning them grey. They're actually removing their colour palettes. Tigru's just stupid enough to let it stop him. I don't know. Anyway.
that honestly, it just could be it.
Makoto gets attacked, and Tigru jumps in front of him to protect him, because that's a trait that Tigru has always had. Tigru says that Philesmon isn't a real friend, and that he's a real friend, and Tigru says that Makoto's his friend, and it gives him a keychain, even though they just met, they're best friends now, and Tigru wanted to be friends in order to cheer him up. And then, a la Digimon Frontier, which was amazing, we have Makoto crying on Tigru to fix him, and brought back to life. Makoto says he won't go to Philesmon. Philesmon says he's actually not an angel, but a fallen angel, as in a devil. He changes form and he's angry, and Omega Shoutmon uses that attack we've only seen like 2 times before, Omega the Fusion, which could have been useful in any of the other episodes we've seen, but never mind. I guess they kind of nerfed him, and instead of writing in why they're nerfing him, they kind of just didn't make him strong, which is another way of nerfing him. Anyway, so Tigru captures the devil, because of course he does, he's the main character, and Tigru says he'll teach him what real friends are, and Makoto asks if Philesmon and him can be friends, and he says yes, because of course he does. And
I have a quick question. Like, obviously, capturing them must turn them into good guys, because otherwise it'd be a really stupid idea to stick that kind of evil dude in your crossloader
I think
with
it's
all
showing
of your
you
friends.
that they're all redeemable, but they're not telling you why they're all redeemable. They're just saying, oh, he's good now, except they're probably just always evil. Like, an evil Digimon should be always evil, right? And they should just send them to the Digimon prison or something. I don't know.
You'd think they would be.
Like, this season does not explain good and evil very well. It's just like, oh, instead of killing the Digimon, they capture them, which is... And that's what I like about Zero 2.
Now you have to hang out with them.
You learned that in Zero 2, at the start, like, oh yes, all Digimon are good. And then at the end you learned, no, some Digimon are bad and you have to kill them. And Young Hunters does not have that. We are not killing Digimon. We are very anti-killing Digimon, apparently. We just capture them and they're good now. But we're not giving them a dark ring or anything. They're just kind of jerks.
Huge jerk.
Yeah. Anyway, so they all go back to normal. Tigru teases you because that's the character, the choice that they decided to go with today.
It's a different one, but yeah.
Tigru and Makoto.
Makoto?
What was his name? Was his name Makoto or Makoto? I can't remember. Anyway, Tigru and the boy who cried on him are best friends now, and now they're going to go to Makoto's going to go to a ping pong club, and I bet we never see him again.
I think I just called him Sad Kid the whole time in my notes.
That's also his name.
Because it didn't matter.
But then it's fine because we get the best part of the episode, my highlight, the introduction corner, also the end of the episode, and Flesmon crosses with the Starmons, and he gets a star pitchfork and he's really happy with it, except it's too pointy to hold, and it's adorable, and this is the best part of the episode because it's the only part I actually care about. What do you think of this episode as someone who's new to Digimon?
It's so bad. It's just awful.
True.
And that much, like, you must have known before you even asked.
Yeah.
This show sucked.
Yep.
Like, the entire story is nonsense. This kid shouldn't have, like, gone with it in the first place. And then once he's done that, nothing he does makes any sense. Here's a question for you. Right at the end, where did they get all the pitchforks from?
I don't know. Flesmon has pulled him out of his butt, I think.
Once they got all the well, he couldn't have done that, right? Because he hadn't been like loaded into the real world, which is the whole point of his plan, was to get loaded into the real world.
Yeah, he just sort of appears.
And that having been established, like, why were the pitchforks electrified?
Because they were.
When they tried to get out of the prison.
Yeah,
then,
I don't know either.
And then after that, so initially, the main sad kid can enforce mind control powers onto people from a distance, right? Which makes them unbelievably powerful.
Yes.
After that, all the other kids who are infected with it need to, like, touch somebody, it looks like hold them still, which makes no sense because it's a totally non-violent power. But whatever. So, when it's just Tagiru and Taigi left, how come they can't get turned at all?
Because the script didn't say they could.
Because there's nothing special about them. We know this because you can be turned. This isn't like a chosen child immunity. There is no immunity. It just never happens.
Because the plot said, that they stay good.
But, like, why? Usually there's at least a big, stupid, fake reason. Now there's nothing.
Yep, I'm not going to argue with you. You're there because you're right. It was in the script, and we used to say that a lot in Adventure because it was very just like the script says it was over there. But this is, and Frontier, we said it a lot because the script said so. We never really said that much in Atmon, so I think
very rarely in Atmon. In fact,
we should have counted how many times we said because it was in the script in all the seasons and see.
Yeah, but we didn't know.
I know, but I feel like we should have as soon as it started to be a thing that we started to do, because I feel like we did it a lot in Adventure, and then I don't think we did it that much in 02.
We probably did. Probably a bunch.
But I remember us only doing it maybe a couple of times in Tamers, constantly in Frontier, not that often in Savers. I don't think in the first two parts of Cross Wars we said it that much, because it was always fairly straightforward. Maybe we definitely said at least like 10 times in Cross Wars, and then this season just like, the script says that Tigrew has this personality today, and that's how much the script has an effect on these episodes in this season. It's just, whoever wrote it. And so in some seasons you can't tell that there are different writers, but in this season, just like, I know that there were only a couple of writers, but it feels like there's more than just a couple. Anyway, what did you rate this episode? Because I rated it a 5, which is probably too high.
It's a 0 to me. It felt like a complete waste of my time.
I'm gonna give it a 3, actually, now I've spoken about it. Like, it was fine, but I hate the power of friendship. I hate that you cried. Like, but not you, but you, as in, like, the character.
I know, the character.
Referring to the character. That,
not me.
Not you, the character. No, not you, the character, and not you, the person. I'm talking about you, and I'm aiming this at Makoto. I don't like how when you cry on someone, they are revived. I hate it. It's bad writing. The power of friendship is not a good way to write episodes, and if you do write something like that, you have to do it well, like in Atmon.
You'd hope they would, but they're not going to.
Yeah. But anyway, it was meh. What about your predictions of Obnoxious Synopsis? Because I already said that we could have, instead of wasting, and that's why we sort of just ran through the episode, because Jay's predictions were just spot on.
I said that a random kid would be sad and lonely, and as a result, he gets tangled up with a Digimon. And I probably could have. I don't remember if I said it in the actual thing, but like if there was this Digimon made people friends with him.
I think you said that.
Yeah, that strikes me as familiar.
Like everything you said in Obnoxious Synopsis, I was just like, because I think I just watched the episodes when we recorded like a couple of days before, so I was just like, yep, that's the episode. Yep, okay, why do we even bother watching that episode? Like in some episodes, you get it kind of a little bit right because Young Hunters is predictable, but sometimes it's always just like, oh, but this thing happens, which you could never have predicted. This episode was just like,
well, the one thing in this one that was like, oh, it's the devil. It
somehow was worse too than any prediction. Like you're just like, I knew this was happening, and yet I'm still disappointed. So yeah, that sure was a thing.
Wish it wasn't.
So, what is happening? What's on the boat? Silhouettes were shown in the second episode's title card. Who's on the boat? What's happening? Do we ever see them again? What do you think?
I would be unbelievably shocked if we actually never saw them again. So I really think they're showing you for a reason.
Yeah.
And and that reason will be something the last 4 episodes, and it'll probably be, you know what? Ultimately, if this season ends with just like Tagiru is actually unable to be the protagonist, that would be super funny. Like it sets him up as the protagonist by making him the main goggle kid, making him really good at stuff.
Yeah.
But then Taiki's never left his side, so he's always got backup, and then like the final fight is going to be won by all of the past protagonists being better than the new kid.
Look, I wish the script was that good, to be honest.
But what they're actually going to do is have all the past guys show up, and then the one way they will overcome when they're all like struggling to win is that Tagiru turns the balance, and then it makes me hate the show even more.
Well, this show's bad. Speaking
Yes.
of bad, I just posted this little quick meme that I did on the translation on Twitter in the Discord. If you just wanted to have a look at this meme, this meme.
Yeah, I saw that. I get it.
Is this a plot? I love the "is this a pigeon" meme so much.
It's frustrating how like it totally makes sense in context.
Yeah, like the actual scene from the anime actually makes sense about why he's saying "is this a pigeon." He's talking about like what makes things the way they are, and it's just sort of like this philosophical.
What is
thing.
education for?
Yeah,
it's to understand the world.
Yeah. It just got this whole thing behind it, and it's fair enough. But taken completely out of context, it's hilarious. Team Rocket actually all showed up united in 2 episodes this week.
And never succeeded once.
Well, they never do because they're the bad guys. Team Rocket don't succeed.
Yeah,
right?
but at least Team Rocket wanted Pikachu.
Yeah, they just
if
kind
they
of want to be
got
awful.
a Pikachu, they wouldn't give him back.
Yeah. You know what I kind of wanted from these episodes? I wanted them to show up randomly in the 3rd episode and be like, ha ha ha, we are evil, ha ha, and they'd be taken over by Philesmon immediately, and then just be like, yay Makoto, yay Makoto, yay Makoto. That would be almost funny, right?
No.
Oh, okay. So, we had some Digimon introduced. We have Terramon. He's a Digiarmor evolution, I believe. He's the one they put with Locomon to make him go faster than anything, apparently.
Oh, you mean the Skarmory Part 2?
Yeah, Skarmory Part 2, but actually Skarmory Part actually might have been before Skarmory's design, maybe.
Hard to say.
No, after Skarmory, because
But you know what?
Gold and Silver was still late 90s.
I would never ever believe that Pokemon ripped off a Digimon design, because it would imply that somebody from the Pokemon team watched Digimon, and I don't think anyone ever has. Because I know the kind of people who watch Digimon.
Oh, okay. So we also have Volcagimon, who I like his design because it's so much like, it's so Digimon-y because he's just like a thing and another thing. He's a volcano and a dragon. I like him.
There's this seems to be a theme in Japanese monster design, is the bunch of volcanoes out of the back.
Yes.
I actually thought this thing looked a lot like a rejected Godzilla villain.
Yeah, a little bit. But I kind of like that because, to me, when we have the Pokemon designs and we have the Digimon designs, Pokemon are meant to be like pets. They're meant to be cute things that you can kind of bring around with you or that will help you around the house.
So
they're
that's
fine.
a Tyranitar.
No, Tyranitar's a big cutie. You can ride him and cuddle him, and he's
He can't help
snuggly.
around the house.
He can help around the house if he wants to. He can carry things. He's more like a very scaly Rottweiler. I have a Tyranitar on my desk, and I love him. I'm going to pat him now because you've offended him by saying that he doesn't want to
Good,
help.
I'm glad.
That's mean. I got a shiny
Yeah.
Tyranitar.
Sure, man. I remember you spending like months.
Remember me trying to hatching it? That was insanity. Anyway, my point is that Pokemon are things that are basically just animals that you kind of just have, and they're just like, oh, that's an animal, that's a farm animal, that's a working animal, that's a pet.
That's a magnet.
That's a magnet. Is this a pigeon? Anyway, there's lots of they're more like animals. So some can be wild and dangerous. We have lions. That's fine. They're just animals. And meanwhile, when I think of Digimon, I explicitly think of like kaiju. Like, I don't think of friends.
I can see it in the design.
I think them more as monsters. Like, Pokemon are just animals. Digimon are more monster. So they're a little bit more dangerous. They are, maybe some are hellbent on destruction, maybe some are pets, but not as often. They're just kind of like, they're just monsters, and Pokemon are just animals.
How come not a single goddamn person noticed the enormous glowing weak spot under this Digimon?
I mean, like, he was standing the whole time.
Yeah, that's how you can see it.
I don't know. Maybe he had it covered up with, like, a patch and the patch fell off. I don't know.
Like a big bandage?
Anyway, what about the creepiest guy ever, Philesmon, who I would not trust if I saw him in a dark alley?
Yeah, it does seem like a really garbage version of Devimon.
Yeah, and I just like, what's wrong with Devimon? Like, I like Devimon's design, and Devimon looks just as evil as this guy. This guy is very evil looking. those were the Digimon introduced. Do you have any particular thoughts about anything else?
Other than Flesmon's design completely sucks.
Yeah, especially like when he takes off the coat, he just looks kind of like a bunch of Devimon clones, but isn't a Devimon.
No, he's a lot more unreasonably... Honestly, Devimon's kind of a complicated design, but this is somehow more unreasonably complicated, and its color palette is garbage.
Like, I love Devimon's design in terms of, like, it's just kind of what you would expect, but I guess I can kind of understand why we haven't seen Devimon as Devimon return, and we were talking about this on the With the Will podcast the other day about why we don't see Parrotmon in the anime, is because we kind of already have an idea of Parrotmon being the one that showed up in Heightened View Terrace or Hikari ga Oka.
Wait, as if they ever care about what the history of these things is. Ever.
That was the reason that AR Mark and I kind of like...
They gave Agumon to another kid!
I know, but like Agumon's always just kind of been...
Now they've showed up in the same season!
But yeah, anyway, that was a discussion, but I don't know. I like Devimon. Flesmon is kind of okay.
They reused Locomon, and he was in a movie.
Yeah, but still, like, it's just kind of like a train.
But he was an actual character.
Yeah, no, he's not a character. No, I wouldn't say anything as a character, really. Except for Locomon.
In Tamers?
Locomon in Young Hunters is a character. Nobody else is.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, like, the fact that Parrotmon showed up beforehand has no bearing on whether it showed up later. It's because it was just a wild one. It didn't have a personality.
I know, but I'm just saying that was the sort of, like,
idea. Yeah, I'm saying you guys are all wrong.
No, I didn't say that. I just said I want to see him in things because I love Parrotmon. I love his design.
Yeah, well, whoever's arguing the other side was wrong.
Everyone else. But anyway, what I'm saying is Parrotmon has, like, I really like Parrotmon's design, just going back to that discussion. I want him back. He's such a cool design. He's just so...
You mean a parrot?
Yes, but he has lightning things on his head.
You're right. Nature designed the parrot really well. It should get awards for character design.
He makes lightning thunder shot come out of his face. Anyway,
okay.
I dig it. For Postmon Pat this week, first up, on With the Will, we have Wildwing64, who says, "Ah yes, the ramen episode. Back then I was impatient and watched it without subtitles. Given the subject matter, the story beats were predictable. Yep, that's the whole of Hunters for you. And it was easy to tell what was going on, and what would happen next. Yep, that's Hunters for you. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but to this
Probably
day,
bad.
It remains the only Digimon episode that I've never watched in English in any form. You don't need to. You don't need to watch any of these episodes in English or any other language or at all. Anyway, yeah.
Take that, Digimon.
I think
says
a lot
the
of
biggest Digimon fan in the world.
No, I wouldn't say the world. I hope not the world. That's really sad. Anyway, the point is,
your life a little bit.
I feel like you could watch a lot of Young Hunters without subtitles because it's very, very easy to follow without any Japanese. You could probably have it on mute and still get the same out of it. And I guess you could do the same for a lot of Digimon, but this is the most you could watch without any noise.
Any noise?
Any sound.
Any
sound. Just mute it. Yeah. I mean, if it's in a different language, when you can't understand that language, it is just noise because you can't distinguish what the noise is saying.
I thought it was like A Quiet Place where like you have to watch in complete silence or you'll die.
God, that was a good movie. Anyway, so on iTunes, we have a 3-star review from Slepmon from Japan on January 4th, 2019.
Middle of the road. Just how I live my life.
The title is just a comma, and the content is a few questionable Digimon facts and too much complaining for my tastes. There were some decent discussions.
It's a classic. There's too much complaining. And the answer is yeah. That's what I do. And to each their own, I can respect that. I can respect that some people want to have their nostalgia fix and they get onto a show and they want to hear, oh yeah, that's what it was like. Oh, that's what it meant. And we'll learn some stuff.
You were kind of like tough on the first episode, but now you're just being reasonably tough. But in the first episode, I would you'd say, oh, Pokemon, you were just saying, oh, Pokemon is better, or the Angela Anaconda part of the Digimon movie is the best part of the movie.
I may have been doing a bit, yes, but most of the time, I feel like I've been quite fair with this show. And given how much I don't like it, that should say something. You've
always been fair. At the start, I think you were just like, I'm going to be ultra negative. But then I think we got to
I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah. I know, but you got to a couple of episodes and you were just like, well, I'm here now. These episodes aren't terrible. And I think that started like the Home Away from Home episode where you started to say, this was not awful. And then we went to 02 and that was just, you did not like that. But I think you still said some nice things. So I feel like whenever there's complaining, it's either been justified, like there are things wrong with Digimon, and other times it's been like, this is the start of the podcast and Jay was kind of doing a bit like the intro of the Angela Anaconda part's probably not the best part of the Digimon movie. It's still fine.
It might be.
And Pokemon the anime isn't better than Digimon the anime.
Sorry,
on
the
most
best
part.
thing is $1 million. Well, I guess the paper or plastic.
Our war game I would watch every day. I've got it on Blu-ray in Japanese, and I could probably actually understand it now. So maybe I should give that a go. But our war game's good. That is a good. It's so good. The director decided to do the story again. And
so nice you animated it twice.
yeah, like, I love our war game. So, yeah, at some point, like, Jay was complaining just because it was the sake of complaining, but now we're up to Young Hunters. Like, it's just sort of like, this is completely justified level of complaints.
No wonder no one watched this, and no wonder Digimon was cancelled forever.
Yeah, like, I think when I said, when I first started talking about Young Hunters, like, very early on, I said, this is the season that not even hardcore Digimon fans will defend.
This is the season that killed your franchise.
Yes, and
And
then,
you can totally understand why.
and then you've got to be thankful for Tri, because Tri, like, gave it a little bit of life, and then they did Atmon.
And then it died.
No, but then they did Atmon.
Yeah, Atmon was fine. Gave it like a breath of life, and then it just fell over and died again.
Look, Adventure is doing great things for the franchise because they're still doing pop-up shops now Tri is done. They are doing escape rooms. Like, they did the one that I did, which was actually, like, I think Jay would actually like it. I think you would
I
like
like
it,
escape
Jay.
rooms.
Like, it was quite a fun escape. It was hard because it was in Japanese.
Yeah,
and
so I
there
wouldn't
was
have had fun.
And of course there was a time limit, so it was even harder because I could translate things and I could think about things, but it was just like, it was doing double amount of work because it was trying to, like, even people who are fluent with Japanese find the time limit hard. So
Yeah.
for someone who's just getting good at Japanese now, but it was very, like, the escape room was very fun. It was, and also it was just Pinocchio aiming a gun at you, and if you run out of time, he shoots you.
Unbelievable.
Like, that's just, I just think that's amazing. Anyway, and apparently they've been hinting at a second one, and it must have been doing well for them to extend it by another month. Like, so Adventure, like, you got hats off to Adventure, you are reviving the franchise, and then there's another Adventure movie coming out.
I hope they stop. Alright everybody, join us for the next episode of Lord El Meloy II's Case Files, Rail Zeppelin, Grace Note.
Wow.
The world... damn it! Here tracing fear experience. The spirit hunter bellows.
And, resemblance or none at all, the disguised phantom thief, Betsumon.
Hold on. Here tracing fear experience. Is it hair raising?
I don't know, this is just what I got from the Wikipedia, but the title I got from Wikipedia, so I don't know. Here tracing fear experience sure sounds like, not anything at all.
In the next one,
Yep.
according to Crunchyroll, it is called a thrilling horror experience. The Spirit Hunters Shout. Whereas it says here tracing fear experience. What is this? Anyway, and UFO and Dinosaur, Great Gathering, Ikakimon of Dreams.
Have we just ever discussed about all the titles being really super long in Young Hunters and explaining the entire plot for everything? Like, I just want to... Okay, Doko Doki Kyofu Taiken. So Doki Doki is the sound of a heartbeat. Kyofu is just... First kanji, scary. Second kanji, also scary. And Taiken is body experience. So it's like, yeah, it's meant to be heart racing. Doki Doki Kyofu Taiken.
Right.
So, yes. That sure is a typo that Wikipedia has done that I copied from, because I was like, I'll just get these episode titles from Wikipedia. That's nice and easy. So yes, we have those are 3 episodes. We finally get to meet Betsumon, who I mentioned very early in the podcast, I believe, like very early when we were in Adventure. So I'm looking forward to Jay finally meeting Betsumon, the creepiest Digimon that was ever come into existence. So yes. So hippity borp borp to Ellie Borg for the 6th
Yeah,
of
happy
February.
birthday!
Hippity borp borp. Linkdump's linked in the description. Redbubble's also linked in the description. And you can get more than just shirts there too. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com. Or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter. And you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. By the way, fun fact, because Tumblr updated their thing, I found out that Leomon is considered pornography according to the algorithm. And
Sure
so is
was.
Agumon. So I think that Leomon must have female presenting nipples. And same with Agumon or Chica, because those were the 2 images we had. We had one of Leomon from Tri having like his heart
But
coming
Leomon's
out.
a lion. Like, he actively doesn't.
Yes, but the algorithm caught it. Anyway, so Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a red thread in a Digimon subreddit. And we would appreciate if you would review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast listening app that you use. Ratings apparently assist people finding out about the podcast, so please do that. And we'll read it out because I did have the backlog of the 2 reviews, which I did this week and last time. So if you give us a review, we can read it next time so we can have another review to look forward to. So please do that. We also have a website, Vote and Polls. Check out our release schedule because we're actually updating that a little bit because we're now moving our recordings to Thursdays and then we're still releasing the Raws straight afterwards. So that's a whole thing. And check out our blog posts.
And you can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, from as little as $1 a month, which gets you access to our listener/chat group, but there are higher levels with more rewards, such as notes, early episodes, and more. Thank you to our current Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, Joe, Anime Guy, who's Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1 on YouTube, Chuckmon, Stephen Reeves, who is Wildwing64 on AO3, Kaidawashi, Shisai, who can follow at Shisai236 on Tumblr, Kyle, the Lady Bugman, whose anime blog you can read at baguburagudo.wordpress.com, Tom, Glitchgoat, Matthew, Anthony, who is at AntoClassic on Twitter, Elizabeth, who is a one on Tumblr, Quinn, Sithobi, Megan, Neobu, The Time Optimist, Nicholas, Starry, Keith, from the Friends and Firelights podcast, and Reggie.
Because Keith's a really hard name to pronounce.
I was distracted.
You just stopped. You were just like...
I was trying to read the message you sent me. Why did you do that at that time? We're about to finish. It's like 20 seconds.
Okay. You can also make a honest donation at our PayPal, which you found in the description. It's paypal.me/Digimon. Make sure to podcast. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.